Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I want to do a short review about this Stanley Silent Air Compressor, which has quite an amazing range of features at a really low price. In fact, it is such a low price that it is the cheapest one available in Germany with these feature sets. So it fits my description. And it's either too good to be true or it's a dream come true. But let's have a look first. So this thing comes as a stand-up compressor with a 50-liter air tank, 1,000 watts of power, 150 liters of continuous air delivery per minute, and a whopping 59 decibels. So it is basically inaudible in a room with people talking in it, or so they claim. It is super cheap. I got this through Amazon delivered to my home for less than 160 euros, which is amazing. I've not been able to find anything with these features at a similar price. And it doesn't seem to be built bad. It just seems too good to be true. So let's get it out of the box and have a really close look at what's what in here. Now, the packing is good. And I really have to say that. It's not an ample amount, but it arrived here not looking too bad. I don't know why they just sent these through these standard UPS channels. They are really rather heavy. So this is around 30 to 35 kilos. And yeah, I don't know, some of the kids that are delivering these, they're having a hard time lifting this off the truck. So let's look inside. Now, looking inside, we can see that it had a rough time getting here. Let's hope that nothing is broken. And let's hope that we don't make that much of a mess. Here we go. So, packing is, well, adequate, but not a lot. We do have a bag of accessories, which contains one wheel and another wheel. No screws that come with that as of yet. We have another bag. This bag contains one screw for one wheel, second screw for the other wheel, one rubber stopper and another rubber stopper, which are probably so this thing doesn't roll away. And there are screws inside the rubber stoppers. There is an air filter. These are usually twist to open. This one's closed really well. They are usually twist to open. And there's a paper filter in here. So that could be exchanged for another one, if you can get another one. And then we have the protective bag over the compressor itself. And I suppose that's it for what we can see from the top. So far, looks good. So let's get it out. So here we have the compressor. It's standing about 80 centimeters tall from the ground without the feet or the wheels attached. And inside the box there was the manual, which actually features the type, the model of this compressor. It also has some interesting information, like it's got 8 bars, 50 liters of storage. It's going to be running at 1450 turns per minute, and it weighs 27 kilograms. Also really strange, it has a noise rating of 79 LWA with an LWA at 1 meter, which is 76.4. I'll go into that in a bit. Also, it has 150 liters per minute continuous delivery. So the values on the box were kind of right, except the loudness measurement, which suddenly went from 59 to 79. Let's check on that. So looking at it from the front, we have 2 pressure indicators, one for the pressure at the outlet, and there is a pressure regulator here, and one for the tank pressure. What we can see, what is really odd, is that the tank pressure has 8 bars right at the middle. So since we only do 8 bar in here, half of that is wasted space. Why can't they put a display on here that has 8, like at 80% or 90% of its range? So we're never going to see more than half of this. But fine. Looking at the armature here, it looks okay. The only thing that I see is that the connectors between the pressure regulator and the switch, the pressure switch, is relatively small. I don't think that we're going to see a lot of air delivery from the tank through such small fittings. The connector tube, which is located at the bottom here, going from the tank to the pressure unit, is also relatively small. We can see this a little bit better by looking from the side. This here is the pipe coming from the tank to the pressure unit, and this little fitting down here is all that is connecting the pressure unit to the pressure regulator. And well, the smaller they are, the less air you're going to get through. Granted, this is usually at 8 bar, so if you lower the pressure here, there's still a lot of air going through it. But at a low pressure, this will hardly be enough. There's also an overpressure relief, so if this ever goes over pressure, this thing is going to open. Unfortunately, it's not one of those that can be tested and where you have the ring to pull. This one just doesn't have it. The compressor unit itself is nothing to brag about, but not too shabby either. It's a 2-stage compressor, so it is going to create a low pressure on the first piston, and then it is going to increase that pressure using the second piston. This is tried and true, and these compressor units are pretty much a standard thing, and they're shared between quite a lot of manufacturers of compressors and compressor systems. The difference that you have in these is that they actually come at different power levels and different measures of loudness. There are some that are really, really silent, and there are basically cheaper ones from the same line that are a lot louder. So we're going to have to figure out what this one is. So here's the compressor assembly from the back. There are no description on it, no model or type indicators. It's just the small compressor, and I've also already attached the air filter to it, just for reference how this needs to be connected. There are vibration dampening rubber feet at the bottom, and below the compressor in its own little housing is the compressor capacitor, which is needed to run the motor in here. It's nice, but it's not over-engineered in any way. There appears to be a valve on the bottom of the compressor going into the tank, which makes sure that once air is in the tank, it can't go back into the compressor. This is really useful when this is a dedicated valve right at the tank. At the bottom of the tank, there is a valve so you can purge the water from the tank. You should actually drain the moisture at least once a week, they say. And I usually do it after a long day of using the compressor. I usually bring it down to a very low pressure level in the tank, and I purge the valve, and that is really, really important. But this valve for me is also a little concerning because you might not be seeing it from here, but as you can see from the side, this valve is sitting at a really worrying angle. Quality control? Nah, I think not. Now, remember when I said we have to get into the noise level? 59 decibels A, it says on here, on the sticker. But if we turn it around, we get something completely different. We get LWA 79 decibels. Now, that is really odd. First of all, why would there be two different numbers on here? And if it says LWA, why does it say decibels? LWA is the level of emitted power, audio power, at 0 meters, right at the device. So, and it doesn't come in decibel. This would have to be gone. Now, 79 decibels is pretty loud. But decibels becomes less the more you go away. LWA is the power emitted by the compressor itself. Decibels are the perceived loudness at a certain distance. So to get from 79 decibels, you would have to go 3.5 meters away from the compressor in an open room with no walls, and you would have to be away 3.5 meters. And when you measure that sound, then you would be getting close to, like, I don't know, 60 to 62 decibels. At 3.6 meters, maybe 59. So I don't know what that is all about, but having a sticker on there saying 59 decibels and having another one on there saying 79 LWA, that sounds kind of scammy to me, because usually decibels would be measured at 1 meter distance, not 3.5 or 3.6 at that. It is really weird. So the only thing that I can think of right now is turn it on get the decibel meter and do a measurement. So I have a setup now where the compressor is way back in the room, and I have a decibel meter right at 1 meters of it. There will be some added loudness from the room, but should be within 2 to 3 decibels. And we can actually see this is working pretty well. And if I'm talking normally, I'm getting about 60 decibels right in the room. And that should be the same loudness that they're claiming for the compressor when it's running. So let's see if that works out. So I'm going to reset this. And then I'm going to turn on the compressor. So we are seeing around 70 decibels, which makes sense. We had an LWA of 79, which would be around 72 to 73 decibels at 1 meter. That makes sense, but the 59 now doesn't make any sense at all, which is unfortunate. So I've repeated the experiment a number of times now, and unfortunately it's getting louder. There's been some screeching noise from the compressor, but I think this has to run in. This will probably get better. But the overall emission seems to be going up to about 73 to 74 decibels. Which is quite a lot more than they were advertising. So maybe this was too good to be true. It could well be. Well, anyway, it's still a really cheap compressor with a 50-liter tank. So even at that, it is pretty good. But I'm kind of disappointed that it falls so short with the loudness measurement. The rest of the compressor is pretty nice. I've only had it running for like 15 minutes now, but it doesn't get overly hot. It seems to fill up the tank, the whole 50 liters, in roughly about 4.5 to 5 minutes. There is some variance in there, so I think these pumps still need some run-in time. I'm fairly sure of that. But the rest of it appears to be working quite fine. There's also not a lot of vibration coming off this device, which is positive. But yeah, I'm a bit disappointed that it doesn't actually meet the numbers that they were claiming for the loudness, because well, calling it a super silent compressor when it's not is well, a little bit of false advertising. So, change of location. The compressor has basically made it through its first working day. It performed pretty well. It does what it's meant to do, and it keeps to its its parameters, except for the loudness. It is pretty much exactly those 79 decibels that are on the machine, and everything you get is really close to that. I have it hooked up to my air assist from my laser right now, and it's basically been running, I don't know, about on and off about 4 hours or so. And the rattle that I had at the start from the compressor, that's gone away. It seems to run a little bit better now, but the vibration from the compressor is still really noticeable. It's at 79 decibels, it's not very loud, but the vibration is very, very present. And that brings me to the other thing. At the beginning of the video, I said that this was a stage design with the two compressors, one pushing up to a certain level in pressure and the other one taking it from there. I don't think that's true. I think those two compressors are working together, and they have a shared airline. And both of them are pushing to one output, and they're pulling from one input that has the air filter attached. The air filter, by the way, is one of the things that I didn't really like, and I changed it to another air filter, mainly because the input on the air filter is so ridiculously small. If I can find it, yeah, I do have it. So this is basically the whole input diameter that the compressor input gets, and that goes to the air filter, and from there it goes into the machine through a 1/4 inch fitting. So this is a lot smaller than that, and it doesn't have to be. So I changed the filter against the bigger one, and it's going to be doing fine. So regarding the parameters that they gave with the compressor, the compressor has a 50-liter tank, and that's correct. It pressurizes to 8 bar. That is also correct. So basically you have a tank of 400 liters compressed air at normal pressure. They say it has 150 liters per minute. That is true, but it is at normal pressure. So if you have 2 bars, you will only be seeing half of that going into the tank. So it starts out really quickly, but then it quickly settles into being really slow because it has such a big tank. It takes about 4 to 5 minutes, average around 4:45 to 4:30 ish, with a lot of variance. That might be from the compressor being so new. So 4.5 to 5 minutes to bring the tank up to 8 bars. If you attach a 1/4 inch adapter and run all of the air through the piping, just through the adapter, it's going to take about 50 to 60 seconds. that isn't a bad value. So the small pipes that you're seeing here are still reasonably sized. I had a 45-liter compressor before this, and this would do the same in about 38 seconds, but at the tank and at the pressure adjustment, it had half-inch connectors, so those were a lot bigger than they are with this. So apart from it being a little bit louder than it should be, I'm still pretty happy with this thing. At 160 euros, it's not a steal, but it's still a very reasonable price. And I hope that it lasts. If it does, I'm going to be really happy with it. Yeah, shame on Stanley for lying about the loudness and for calling it a whisper compressor or a silent compressor, because this is not a silent compressor. Silent compressors have different pumps and a different compressor setup that is just a lot more silent than this is. But this, for a start, this works. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.